I'm not a bird man, but have taken an interest in the Cape flora over the years, particularly in retirement. And this, as Peter points out, is the Garden of Extinction and shows quite a number of plants which were either thought to be extinct or which are perhaps on the verge of extinction. But one of the interesting ones that one sees growing all over the place now is this particular erica. The ericas are one of the big groups that grow in the Kirstenbosch flora, which is something special to the southwestern Cape. There are plants going extinct on account of agricultural intrusion all around. The Western Cape has been named the extinction capital of the world. Although we've got lots and lots of plants, because of that, of course, the number going extinct is greater. Generally they say that the three key groups of flora are the proteas, you all know the proteas, one or two at the back there, and the ericas, here's our friend again, Erica verticillata, and the third big group are these Cape reeds. They're not grasses, but their proper name is Restia. So these are the three main ingredients of our Kirstenbosch.
We're going to go up through a bit of woodland, and Ivor can tell you some of the trees. I'm very poor on trees. If it's got a bird in it, then it might help. Sorry.
The golden orb is a little one, not a big one.
Oh yes.
Not very edible. The birds like them, I think.
Yes, they split open then.
So what did they call these? They called it a wild peach. And a lot of our trees have got names which were given by the settlers on account of what they appeared to be, but weren't.
But if you know the spotted flycatcher in England,
Yes.
it's very similar. And the spotted flycatcher does come here every year in Zimbabwe. On my tap in Bulawayo, this little flycatcher that size would land on the tap.
Gosh.
And I hadn't got him marked, but I knew it was the same bird, had to be. And he'd flown from anywhere up in the northern Palearctic region all the way down every year, all those thousands of kilometers. You know, extraordinary, a little thing that size.
Sure. And so there are still remnants of these wild almonds in certain places up on the hillside there of Van Riebeck's hedge. They contain cyanide, unlike the ordinary almonds. And so this is deadly poisonous. And it belongs to the tree we know as the wild almond. Now, there aren't any other trees that look quite like this, and its nearest relatives are in Australia. Nevertheless, it is a part of our great Protea family. And this is what Van Riebeck in the early days planted around his little Cape colony to become a hedge or a wall against whatever was outside. It might be said it was to keep cattle out, but I think perhaps it was also to keep local Hottentots or Bushmen or whoever were around from coming into the colonial area, which they didn't want. Burning of the fynbos is something essential to its welfare, and a lot of plants won't survive unless they are burnt, because only then do they release their seeds, or will the seeds germinate. And other trees, however, will not die, including this one, because the rootstock under the ground remains alive, and as soon as the fire is over, they will resprout and start growing again. And so this tree could be 300 years old, could be 3,000 years old. It's just come up and come up and come up again after each fire.
The Pinus pinasta, the cluster pine, there and then it's now the whole of Table Mountain is a national park, as you probably know.
Yes.
And they've done an amazing job eradicating alien vegetation, including the Australian wattles and things. The Australians did the dirty on us. They stole our acacia name, and we've now got to change all our thorn trees, which are acacias, into some other thing. It's quite hot stuff. There's an olive thrush right at the top there. We'll probably see them in the garden. I thought we'd backtrack here a little bit because there's a very nice bunch of erica, a group of ericas, and then move on up.
Yes,
Conrad,
Yeah.
do you remember your 8 poets?
Yes.
Wordsworth, earth hath not anything to show,
Show
more
more
fair.
fair.
Dull would he be a soul that could pass by a sight so touching in its majesty. And I always quote this when I come over.
Oh,
Just for the record, my ashes are going here if there are any left. You know? Come look at this here. Here, orange-breasted sunbird. You see it?
yes.
Beautiful bird. That's my favourite sunbird. This is called pishing. You must spell it correctly. P-I-S-H-I-N-G. Right? Pishing. And it brings the sunbirds seem to think it's a predator. Look at them. Yeah. This one is the double collared with the red. Well, they think it's something. You know, they're curious to see what it is.
Oh.
But I mean, you don't even need binoculars. Look how beautiful they are. Like an orange breast to come down. Now, what the hell is that thing? Anybody want to borrow binoculars? No, it's a robin. There's a robin at the back there.
In the flame bush.
Oh, that worked like a charm. So you've seen the 2 species that you get here. There is a malachite, which is pure green, but they're very rare. You know, it's a red lesser grey when you see the green one. Green breast. Here he is. This is the mega. There he is. Oh boy. Now, you know, even if you dull of soul, you can't not light up to that one.
The Cedarburg ones, which only grow in the Cedarburg, and again they use the cedar wood for furniture and even building houses. Lovely trees, becoming very rare, being burnt, and they've been heavily harvested for timber in the past, so that they are an endangered species now, the Cedarburg ones. I'm not sure which particular one this is. It could be one of those. But the common ones we have are resprouting ones. Remember we saw that wild almond which was resprouting after fire. So all our local Table Mountain cedars are resprouting trees with many stems coming up out of the ground.
That's fantastic to
And then
know.
there's a third one that grows.
Those are really nice. Can I open one of those here? That's an olive thrush. I think one just dropped down.
Is it?
It's huge.
I
Olive
thought
thrush.
so.
It's the same size as your English blackbird.
There's a
Oh, is it? They both belong to the rather inaptly named group called turds. They'll probably get thrown out of turds.
Okay.
And your American robin is not a it's not a robin, it's a thrush. And they've never changed the name. It belongs to the genus Turdus, which is exactly the same as the blackbird and the one that they were looking at. And if you go to New Zealand, I went to the Christchurch Botanical Garden and I saw 13 birds, and 8 of them were non-indigenous. There were goldfinches and goldcrests, and you know, and everything was introduced. But here, just the chaffinch and the starling, and then the cursed grey squirrel, which is just a rat with a bushy tail. And if you run them over, don't feel sorry about
No,
it.
no, no. We have a lot of skylarks.
In fact, they come right in the gardens here, and they actually eat the proteas. This is a very nice Lucasburnum, only a folium, and very pretty little one. The big one there, isn't that a wild peach? That big
That's
one.
big.
Looks a bit big, yes.
I've
Is it a big?
never
I've
seen one
always
that
thought,
big.
I always thought it was, but
Wow.
they used to nest in the bole of that tree, but it got filled up with branches and things. But when they're nesting, the male sits here on guard, and when the female's finished brooding the chicks, she sits there, and people come back and forth. And they eat a lot of the ordinary moles, and even a snake, and once they even brought in a crab. And during daylight, which is most unusual. The owl's not meant to hunt in daylight. We're just going to go a little bit further up so I can show you
That's
the
why
famous...
she's got all empty owl boxes. My neighbour spent a fortune having owl boxes, you know, and they just got pigs in their jeans recently. Not in the owl box from home. No owl.
Incredible, isn't it? Goes on, goes on, goes on.
So this, the golden Maimetes or golden pagoda, has only been recognised for the last 20 or 30 years. And there are still more plants to be discovered. There are lots of plants in the Kirstenbosch probably which have never been found. I personally have discovered 16 new species of plants. This is out in the country in the Kirstenbosch area. So there are plants that people have never recognised before as new. It's one of several of my different Maimetes. There are silver ones in the Hottentots, Holland. And then followed the Protea Atlas. And they've got a whole lot of non-botanical people, by and large, to go out and record the different proteas. And during that 10-year period, they discovered about one new species of protea each year.
Was that genuinely new?
Genuinely new, yes.
People misidentifying something.
No, absolutely new.
So is your
And I was involved in that.
The ones that you've discovered are called jardines?
A few of them are, but not all of them, no. Yes.
Lots of names have been changed. The border leaflet.
And these thicker ones are used for thatching.
Beautiful.
There's a certain area where they go. Is it a rus?
Yes.
Good.
No, searsia.
Just
Like S-E-A-R-S-I-A. Ears, with an S on the beginning,
Yeah.
and an I-A on the end. Searsia. So Rus is no longer.
Oh, changed.
But this is a single leaf divided into three, and it's characteristic of this particular tree,
That's clever. I didn't know that.
or group of trees.
Wow. So cool.
Yes, each other.
Yes.
You see there, they come out opposite each other, and they're serrated.
Yes.
And a lot of these serrated and opposites are Cassini.
Okay.
And this is Cassini parago, and if you hold it up to the light, you can see the venation, the veins,
Yes.
quite nicely. You can see the light. And also when you look at the back, the veins are very
Yes,
prominent.
you can see them.
In front of them, if you look at them.
There he is.
You've got him.
So bulbils become green bulbs.
Can you see him? No.
Very slow. I'm glad you can't. I thought you were going to
No,
teach me how to see because I could hear him.
they're terribly
He's low. He's low.
Yeah,
He's in
really,
here.
yeah, low down.
What colour is he?
Just
Dark green.
That's why it's called a green ball.
Somber bull.
You can actually see him.
The yellow leaf on there.
Behind that.
Yeah, just the left of the lift. It's through. You see that one. There.
Stone.
Closed up.
Yeah.
The
White eyes. Those little things with white eyes, but you know those from Ian's garden.
Yeah. Common sugar bush is a nice one through there too.
Yeah.
Often white or yellow in colour. Now, these are proteas, of course. Now, we had apologies from James Wood, I heard.
Yes.
So we found him at last, did we? Somewhere is he
Yes,
still in
yes.
Australia?
Yeah.
And James Wood,
Busselton, south of Perth.
James Wood has spent his life growing South African proteas in Western Australia and exporting them around the world. High quality plants without all the bugs on them that we've got. Of South African proteas, and that's been his
He
life.
sends more proteas to Japan than we do. You're just this one man than the whole of South Africa, apparently.
Yes.
Yeah. This is the wild almond, or Van Riebeck's hedge. Van Riebeck was the guy who landed here in 1652. He wasn't the first to visit the Cape, but he was the first settler. And from then on, our history started. So 1652 is our starting point. Okay, so now we're going to just weasel our way through here. Unfortunately, with the Bloomsome, there's not so much access to it.
Smoking in the forest and lighting fires. Which was quite the wrong thing to do. They should have been burning it every other year.
And so here we were going through a much drier. The guys who laid out the gardens, I mean, this is what it looked like while he was working on it, and now look at it now.
Yeah.
Beautifully done. And imagine laying these cobbled paths. I don't know whether they had convict labour or something, but anyway, terribly labour intensive.
Yeah.
So all through here you've got lovely acacias and aloes and euphorbias.
This is a really lovely walk. Nice. See?
The conservation of energy department.
Great horned owl.
Yeah.
They're very, very similar, but the great horned is way, way bigger. But Nick, you can go closer if you like. Oh, that's what a bonus.
Mm. Well, well done.
Yeah.
After all.
Yeah. That's my ornithological highlight.